You start a new goal hyped, ready to change everything, and by day 3 you're already back on the couch. Everyone blames willpower. Wrong. That crash isn't random, it's not weakness, it's a pattern wired straight into your brain, and once you see it, you can break it for good. I've used this exact reset with thousands of guys who'd failed at consistency more times than they could count. Doesn't matter how many times you quit before, this isn't hype, it's a system, step by step, and by the end you'll know exactly why you crashed and exactly how to stop it. Forget 3 days of motivation, we're building 3+ years of consistency, the kind that survives bad weeks, bad moods, bad luck. Most people chase a streak. You're about to build something that doesn't care if you feel like showing up, because showing up stops being the hard part entirely. Quick gift before we start. I put together something called the Deep Reset, 12 shifts that rebuild your focus, your energy, your discipline, even if motivation's been dead for months. It's free, links in the description, grab it and come back, because number 1 is where this gets real. If you're serious about actually finishing what you start this year, subscribe now fellas, this is the stuff nobody hands you at family dinner. And here's the first truth, when your motivation fades after a few days, that's not a flaw in you. That's a flaw in how motivation itself was ever built to work. Here's the myth nobody teaches you. Motivation was never designed to last. Not for a week, not past a day 3 crash, nothing you're doing wrong. And the image I want you holding for this whole video is a campfire, because everything that happens next, the crash, the fix, the rebuild, plays out around that fire. Motivation is a firework, not a fire, it's a blast. Bright, loud, gone in seconds. Day 1 feels like that, explosive, unstoppable, like nothing can touch you. That's the surge talking, not your character. Fireworks were never meant to keep a camp warm through the night, and neither was that first day rush. My buddy Jake does this every January. New gym bag, new meal plan, new identity by lunchtime. Day 1, unstoppable. Day 3, sludge, because the novelty that hyped his brain wore off exactly on schedule. He's not broken, he's just never been told the rush was always temporary by design. Here's the math your brain runs without asking you. Option 1, grind for weeks before anything pays off. Option 2, open your phone and feel good in 5 seconds. Your brain will pick option 2 every single time. Not because you're weak, but because that's literally what the equation was built to solve for. So ditch the firework, picture a lit match instead. A match starts the fire fine, but a match alone burns out in seconds. Back to that campfire. Motivation is just the match. It gets the flame going. What keeps you warm 3 years from now has nothing to do with the size of that first spark. The logs on that fire are structure, systems, people around you who expect you to show up. Throw a match at a pile of wet leaves and nothing happens. Throw the same match on stacked, dry logs and it burns all night. Most people keep relighting matches and wondering why the fire keeps dying by morning. Research backs this up cold. Motivation spikes with anything new, then drops fast with repetition unless you're pairing it with progress you can actually see. That's the missing piece for most guys. No visible wins, no reason for the brain to keep believing the fire's worth feeding, so it quietly lets it die. But here's the part that actually explains why your brain sabotages you on purpose, and once you hear it, you'll never look at a lazy Sunday the same way again. Because it's not that you stopped caring about the goal. It's that something deeper hijacked the entire reward system without asking permission. Losing steam after day 3 isn't a character flaw, it's a biological dip, measurable, predictable, happening in brains all over the world at the exact same rate. Your brain starts scanning for anything that pays out faster, easier, sooner. That scan isn't rare, it's not personal, it's just what tired brains are built to do. Scrolling beats scripting every time your brain gets to vote. Quick wins, fast feedback, something that feels rewarding right now, that's what it's hunting for. Building something meaningful takes patience most people never trained for, so the phone wins, the snack wins, the nap wins, and the real goal quietly loses again. Here's the trap. Editing your video, writing your pages, hitting the gym, none of that pays out today. But a video on your feed, a bag of chips, a nap on the couch, those pay out instantly. Your brain isn't broken for choosing the instant payout, it's just never been shown a faster win worth choosing instead. Here's something most people never think about. Your brain wasn't built for finishing goals, it was built for staying alive. High reward, low effort choices kept our ancestors breathing for tens of thousands of years. You're not fighting laziness. You're fighting a survival machine that thinks a snack today beats a body next summer. That's also why watching someone else's grind feels better than starting your own. Someone else's vlog, someone else's transformation, someone else's discipline, all consumed in minutes with zero effort from you. It feels close enough to progress that your brain relaxes. It isn't progress, it's a very convincing substitute. and it costs you the actual rep. Picture your brain with two pedals. The gas pedal fires the second the new idea shows up, ideas, plans, 5-year visions, all free, all instant. The brake pedal slams down the moment actual effort's required. That's why you've got 40 brilliant plans in your notes app, and maybe 2 of them ever left the driveway. You think you want the big goal. What you actually want, according to your own brain's default setting, is something easy that works right now. Those aren't the same want, and confusing them is exactly why the gap between your plans and your results keeps getting wider every single year you ignore it. But actually, the real reason most people fail isn't willpower at all, it's design. Most goals only pay off weeks or months from now, with nothing built in to reward the guy showing up on day 2. No feedback, no proof it's working, just faith. And faith alone rarely survives a bad week. Jake's gym plan promised visible abs by month 3. Nothing by week 1, nothing by week 2, so by day 4 he quietly stopped going. He didn't lack discipline. His plan simply forgot to reward him for showing up before the mirror finally agreed the work was real. That gap killed the habit, not laziness. Here's the science behind it. Delayed rewards feel less real to your brain the farther away they sit, almost like they're not guaranteed at all. A reward 3 months out barely registers as real. A reward you can feel tonight registers instantly. That's not a personal failure. That's measurable, replicated, boring old brain chemistry. So your habits collapse without reinforcement, without a small win that says the fire's still burning. Remember those logs on the campfire? Wins right now are logs. Promises about someday are smoke. You can't warm your hands on smoke, and you can't build 3 years of consistency on rewards that never actually show up. So here's the real question. If your brain is hardwired to crave comfort every single time effort spikes, how does anyone actually outlast that? I'm not gonna tell you to just try harder, because that answer's already failed you 100 times. The real answer's smaller, weirder, and honestly easier than you think. Here it is. Stop relying on willpower entirely. Willpower is a battery, and batteries die, usually right around day 3. Removing resistance works differently. It doesn't ask you to fight the craving for comfort, it just makes the hard thing quietly easier to start than the easy thing, and that changes everything downstream. Everyone loves saying just be more disciplined. If that actually worked, every gym in the country would be full of millionaire bodybuilders and nobody would ever quit anything. Discipline is real, but it's not the magic fix people sell it as. Used alone, it burns out exactly as fast as motivation does. If you've made it this far, you're not the guy this list is trying to save. You're already trying, and that matters more than you know. Now here's the truth about discipline. It matters most in the small moments. When effort feels light, not the moments when everything already feels like lifting a truck alone. Real consistency was never about gritting your teeth through resistance. It comes from lowering the resistance before you even start. Fighting friction every single day is exhausting, and exhausted people quit. Removing friction before it exists means you're not fighting anything at all, you're just moving, which is a completely different game. Your brain is lazy by design, and that's not an insult, it's an energy budget. Every wasted calorie once meant less chance of surviving winter. So it resists anything that burns energy without a guaranteed payoff. That ancient budget is still running today, quietly vetoing your 6 a.m. alarm before you even open your eyes. Jake wants the result badly, he'll tell anyone who listens, but wanting isn't the same as doing, and every time the task got hard, his brain hit the brake regardless of how badly he wanted the outcome. That gap between wanting and doing is where almost every failed goal actually dies quietly. Routines collapse fastest exactly when you need them most. Tired, stressed, overwhelmed, running on 4 hours of sleep. That's not coincidence. That's when resistance feels heaviest and your brain's brake pedal slams hardest. A system that only works when you're rested isn't really a system. It's a fair weather habit waiting to fail you. Think of your whole system like a slide. Angle it wrong and every single day feels like climbing uphill just to start. Angle it right and gravity does half the work before you've even tried. Most people never check the angle, they just blame themselves for how heavy the climb feels every morning. The goal is a habit so effortless to start that skipping it takes more energy than doing it. Lay your gym clothes out the night before, open the document instead of the app. Small angle changes on that slide, and suddenly gravity is pulling you toward the version of you that actually finishes things. That's what makes you consistent even when your energy sits at 20%. Not more discipline, not more hype, just less friction between you and the first step. Guys who look unstoppable from the outside usually just built a slide instead of a mountain. Nobody tells you that part. Because it's less exciting to sell. If any of this is landing, that free Deep Reset ebook I mentioned earlier does exactly this. It's built to strip resistance out of your day so you can take action even on the days motivation's completely gone missing. 12 shifts, no fluff, links in the description, and it costs you nothing but 2 minutes. But here's what nobody warns you about. Even the best system on earth cannot stop you from crashing eventually. Question is, what happens the day you fall off completely, miss a week, lose the thread entirely? Because how you handle that exact moment decides whether this becomes permanent or just a rough Tuesday. Picture it. You missed 4 days straight, the streak's dead, and now some part of you just wants to wait until everything feels aligned again before trying. That paralysis feels responsible, almost mature. It isn't. It's the single most expensive trap in this entire video, and almost everyone walks straight into it. Look, I get it. Waiting until you feel ready sounds sensible, even disciplined, like you're respecting the process instead of forcing it. Fair point. But motivation was never going to tap you on the shoulder one random morning and announce it's back. That morning doesn't exist. You've been waiting for a bus that already left. So here's the flip that changes everything. And I mean everything. You've had this completely backwards the whole time. Motivation doesn't lead action, it follows it. Always has. Every single study on this agrees. You don't wait to feel ready. You move first. Badly, small, imperfect, and readiness shows up after, not before. The order is action, then momentum, then belief in that exact sequence, never reversed. You do one small thing before you feel like it. That builds momentum you can actually notice. Momentum eventually earns belief that this version of you sticks around. Skip step 1 waiting to feel it, and the other 2 never arrive. So if you're frozen right now, here's the only rule that matters. Do one small thing, send the email, do the one stretch, take the 1 minute. You're not rebuilding an empire tonight. You're just proving to your own brain that you're not stuck, and that proof is worth more than any perfect plan. So make it stupid small. Send one email, do one stretch, take 1 minute, that's it. You're not rebuilding an empire tonight. You're just proving to your own brain that you're not stuck. That's the whole trick. The size doesn't matter, the motion does. One email breaks the freeze the same way a marathon would. And here's where this stops being just a productivity trick, because it shows up somewhere ancient too. In the Quran, Maryam, the mother of the Prophet Isa, is alone in labor. No help, no comfort. Completely isolated, in pain, convinced she can't go on. If anybody ever had an excuse to just freeze, it was her. So what's she told to do in that moment? Not to fix everything. Not to somehow deliver herself into comfort. She's told to shake the trunk of a palm tree. A woman in labor, exhausted, alone, told to go grab a tree and shake it. On paper that sounds almost absurd, honestly. But the point was never that her shaking that trunk was what produced the dates that fell. She wasn't strong enough to cause that result, and she didn't need to be. The only thing asked of her was the action itself, the offering, not the outcome. That distinction changes everything about how you should see effort. Because once she moved, once she actually shook that tree, that's what unlocked the support she needed. Not before. Not while she was still frozen thinking about it. The lesson sits right there in plain sight. You don't wait for strength to arrive first. The moving is what invites the strength in. So take that with you. One small offered action, even one you're almost certain won't do much, can be the exact thing that's enough. Not the grand gesture, not the perfect plan, just the tree shake. Remember that the next time you're convinced you have nothing left to give that day. Now once you've shaken your version of the tree, the next question is what happens after. Because moving once is great, but life doesn't hand you one clean shot and then leave you alone forever. You're going to get knocked down again. So now we build the part that catches you before you crash next time. Before it turns into another full restart. Here's the truth nobody wants to hear. You're not failing because you're lazy, and you're not failing because you lack discipline. You're failing because the system you built was never designed to survive a single bad week. Most people build routines that only function when everything around them is calm and perfect, and life almost never stays that way for long, but real life is never that cooperative. You get sick, you travel, work gets heavy, and you miss a few days without meaning to. That's not a character flaw, that's just being a human being living an actual life. The problem isn't the missed days themselves, the problem is what your system does the moment those days happen. Most people build habits that punish a missed day, so one skipped workout turns into a skipped week, then a skipped month, then a full restart from zero. Smart systems work the opposite way. They expect a bad week, they build the off-ramp in ahead of time, so missing a day costs you a day, never the whole structure you spent months putting together. Think of your habits like a phone battery. When it drops to 5%, you don't throw the phone in the trash and buy a new one. You plug it in, you let it recharge, and you keep using the same phone tomorrow. Your routines need that exact same built-in recovery mode, not a system that treats one bad day like a death sentence. So here's the fix. Design a bare minimum version of every routine you have ahead of time before you need it. When your energy is at 20%, you don't do nothing, you do the smallest version that still counts. 1 page instead of a chapter, 5 minutes instead of an hour. That one small action is what keeps the whole system alive. And that bare minimum system is exactly what the free ebook walks you through: 12 practical shifts to rebuild your focus and momentum from the ground up, even if you've failed 100 times before. Links in the description. Completely free. But if you're still stuck just staring at the ceiling wondering why even trying feels pointless, that's a different problem, and I already made you something for that one too.